A Long Way Down by Juliet Bell. Read by Chesney Hawkes. Layla made her way down the hot, breathless track to the cliff's edge. The heat seemed alive, like a monstrous animal breathing in and out, biding its time. She pushed the overhanging brambles aside, gasping a little, as her arm got caught by the thorns. Like shark's teeth, she mused as she pushed on. The dry, sandy soil stuck to her sandals, going between her toes, grit irritating the soles of her feet. She ignored it. It wasn't important. As she neared the edge of the track, she could see glimpses of the sea beyond the cliff, a sparkling, shimmering blue that was extraordinary in its beauty. She picked up her pace, wanting to get it over with. Now the decision was made, she felt determined instead of just empty, and she wanted to make sure that there was nobody else around when she got there. She had chosen her time carefully, a time when most people would be gone from the yellow sands of the beach, home to peace and evening camaraderie, love and security. Sensations now lost to her. She drudged on, her head down, thoughts swirling. Suddenly she was there. The track ended, opening out onto an expanse of green field, truncated after about 50 years by nothingness and the wider sea views. She stopped, staring, her heart pounding with appreciation, excitement, terror. She felt all of them, and none of them. The emptiness crept back, leaving the determination foundering. She slowly approached the edge of the cliff and looked over. The drop was sheer and ended in rocks and shingle at the bottom. She gasped and involuntarily stepped back, her head spinning and her gorge rising. At the same time, she felt a hand on her arm, tugging her backwards. Stunned, she turned towards the person who was holding her to see a middle-aged woman. The woman was shaking her head. "Easy now, easy," she was saying, as though to a nervous animal. "Don't be so near the edge, you might fall." Layla shook her head in response. "Let go of me," she demanded. "What do you know about it?" She jerked her arm free and started to back towards the edge. The woman spoke quietly, but her words fell on Layla's ears like a death knell. "Plenty, actually. My son went over that edge this day last year, but I wasn't here to stop him." Layla felt a physical pain in her chest as the woman spoke, tears starting to her eyes. She turned back, holding her hand out in peace. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know." The woman shrugged her shoulders. "No reason why you should," she said. "It wasn't more than a line in the local press. Young man throws himself from cliff after split from girlfriend." The day after it happened, everything was the same. Just I got this big, black hole where my heart used to be. She paused before continuing. "I like to come up here now and then. Makes me feel closer to him. And today I just felt like I had to be here." Layla suddenly felt as though all her bones had snapped. She flopped down onto the sunburnt grass by the side of the path and started to weep in earnest. The woman made soothing noises and moved forward to take Layla in her arms, rocking her back and forth like a small child. Layla wept unrestrainedly for a few minutes, great gulping sobs that couldn't be silenced, her heart pounding in misery. Eventually, after what felt to her like hours, Layla slowly fell silent, feeling drained but ever so slightly better. The woman continued to hold her, but ceased rocking, sensing that Layla was going to start to speak. When the words came, they came in a torrent, interspersed with hiccups of distress. Layla spoke of her struggle with her college work, the bullying by the other girls on the course, and some of the staff, of being tricked into sending a nude photo of herself to a boy she liked, only to find that the boy was the ringleader of her bullies, who had then shared it around the whole college, which effectively meant that the whole island knew and had seen the image, and finally, of her fears that her parents would see it and never want to see her again. She coughed out her confession. "I just want it to end. To not have to wake up ever again and have to face all that." The woman gradually pushed herself back so that she was no longer hugging Layla but holding her by her shoulders. "Now listen," she said. "You are not at fault in this. Oh, you made a poor choice by sending that picture. But it's that other one, the girl who tricked you, who is guilty. If anyone should feel shame, it should be her. Imagine what an unhappy person she must be to have to torture someone as beautiful as you." Layla looked up in shock. "Yes, beautiful," repeated the woman. "You need to take a good, long look in the mirror, my lass." She gave Layla a little shake. "This," she said, waving a hand at the cliff, "this is no answer. Too final, no chance to make good or recover. No chance of letting the truth get out. Your truth dies with you." The woman gave a cough of distress. "And believe me, you don't want to put your parents through that. I know how it feels, and wouldn't wish it on my darkest enemy." Layla gazed at her, seeing the tears gathering in the woman's eyes. She clasped the woman's hands in her own, squeezing them in sympathy. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. So sorry." The woman shook her head gently. "What's done is done. No mending the past." She paused. "But you can mend the future." She looked at Layla seriously. "The future can be shaped by you now. You have that power, but you must be strong." Layla shook her head, tears starting again, but the woman nodded at her vehemently. "Yes, you must. You are far stronger than you know. We all are. We just get caught up in our own misery sometimes and forget it." She glanced towards the edge of the cliff. "My poor boy forgot it." She sighed wistfully, then continued. "But you must remember how strong you are and face them down, those bullies. Put the shame back onto them. Show them how strong and brave you are, and I guarantee they won't bother you again." At the heart of it, all bullies are cowards, trying to humiliate someone else to hide their own shortcomings. Layla nodded slowly, understanding what the woman was saying, but still worried about telling her parents. "But my mum and dad, they won't understand, not about the photo. They'll be so angry with me." The woman took hold of Layla's chin, tilting it up so that she was looking into Layla's eyes. "Anger there may be, and disappointment too for that matter, but it won't be directed at you. I guarantee you that," she said, nodding empathetically. "We protect our children to the best of our ability, and when we fail to do so, we punish ourselves cruelly. Your parents will be far more upset that they didn't see how unhappy you were than being upset about a stupid photo. You go home and tell them everything. And you tell them what you were going to do here today. They deserve to know the truth, but also deserve the chance to help you." She pulled Layla back into another hug before swiftly releasing her again. "Off you go now," she ordered. "Home with you. And remember what I said. Be strong." She gave Layla a little push, prompting Layla to get up. Layla stood, and slowly turned back to the dusty track that led back to her home. She took a few steps before turning and running back to the woman who had regained her feet and giving her a massive hug. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll never forget you. Never." She turned and ran swiftly back up the track, disappearing from view in seconds. The woman sighed and turned to face the sea. As she did so, a slight breeze sprang up, gently caressing her face and stirring her long brown hair. She put her hand up to her cheek, holding it there for a moment. "Oh, son," she whispered, "if only I could have got to you in time." Tears fell as she stepped closer to the edge. "If only I'd noticed sooner. I could have helped you. I'm so sorry, my beloved boy." The breeze grew stronger for an instant, causing her to step back again, before stopping completely, leaving a deathly silence in its wake. All noise seemed to have ceased. Even the sound of the gulls had stopped. As the hair on the back of her neck started to stand on end, she heard a whisper. It seemed to be all around her, but inside her head at the same time. "Not your fault, Ma. Don't worry, I'm fine." She put her hands on her head, wondering. Then, as suddenly as the silence had started, it ended. All the noise came back in a rush, leaving her dizzy and disorientated, but comforted down to her bones. Tears still fell, but now they were happy ones. Her boy was all right. He had let her know. Silly, really, she mused. She had come up here today to join him, to jump from the cliff's edge, but had ended up saving a life instead. It was time to take her own advice and be strong. Her boy was okay, and she would find him again in time. She knew that now. Taking a deep breath, she turned her feet towards the path and set off for home, knowing that she would not be visiting the edge again for some time. She didn't need to. For the first time in a year, she was at peace.